What's up, CHFFL? Well, week one of yet another season, and after our fancy first remote draft, I am out of the studio for this first week, and it's going to be a pretty simple video. We're just going to hit the previews, and that's going to be all. As I expressed in the Discord, I don't know if you can hear my neighbors, but children are just a delight. But yeah, we're just gonna go quickly through. I'll take chats, get the predictions in, and get on out of here. So, because I didn't see any pickups that were really worth going over, and I didn't have any particularly interesting slides anyway. So let's go right into the Fantasy Heart and Soul Conference. And as soon as I start, that would be I assume the people coming to deal with the thing. So, sorry, we'll be back in a couple minutes here. I'm gonna switch back over to the starting soon. A complicated business. Hope I still have people. Let's check in on that real fast. Yeah, I still got 3 of you here, so let's dive into it. Fantasy Heart and Soul Conference. We got Max's Soul Brothers versus Derek and my Busan paper ballots. It's gonna be one-sided on paper at least. We have the advantage here with Josh Allen. Although the Jets are a good defense, Herbert might have a better chance of getting into a shootout with Miami. Now Chubb, I feel better having Chubb against Cincinnati than I would having Jacobs against Denver. At least for week one. I don't know how much I'm trusting Jacobs. We'll see if the workload and the effort is gonna be there. Stan never leaving me. I appreciate that. The loyalty is great. David Monty, I'm so happy. I was happy I got him. I felt really good about Monty in drafts this year, and that doesn't mean that I feel bad about Gibbs. In my family league, I pretty much drafted for both Stella and myself, and I drafted one of us Gibbs and one of us Montgomery because, you saw the Jamal Williams role last year, and I think Monty's as good, if not a little better. And then there still can be a role in the passing game. So anyway, happy to see him get 17.4 week one. But James Conner is also a good value pick that Max got there. So I'd call that about a wash. Probably don't expect Conner to get 17, but 13, 14 is pretty good. And now this is where it starts to get one-sided because Christian Watson ruled out, surprise hamstring. Wasn't really expecting that, so right now I have Tutu Atwell and Rondale Moore in my receiver and flex position. I mean, Max has Waddle, Wilson, aging Mike Evans. I probably like Godwin more than Mike Evans at this point, but that's where Max pulls ahead in this matchup. Those are the flex spots. Goddard versus Evan Ingram, also a little advantage to Max. Steelers against San Francisco, Broncos against Vegas. I like Broncos there just for the matchup a little better. I'm hoping Jerry Jeudy is going to play. He's still listed as questionable here. Be really nice to have him week 1 instead of one of the scrubs, but I'm still taking Max here. Now let's go to Parker, the Gyeongbokgung royalty. Yes, I will say it every week for you, Pa. Versus Bill's Kim Chiago Bears. Boy, I didn't really have a chance to do a post-draft video, but I thought Bill just nailed the draft. All over. Although, week 1, he's without Kelsey, of course, did not play. Parker. Kadarius Toney got 1 point. Remember, he traded Toney straight up for Judy to me, so we'll see how Judy does going forward. Parker's with Tua at quarterback versus Bill with Fields. I'm going to call that a wash just because I can't stand Justin Fields. Bijan Barkley also pretty close to a wash. Carolina versus Dallas. Bijan may have the better matchup there, but his first game in the NFL, not sure how unleashed he's going to be. Mixon versus Robinson Jr., that's got to go to Pa, I'd say. Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, J.K. Dobbins, and our receivers and flex for Pa is pretty darn solid. But for Bill, we got Metcalf, Olave, and then Stevenson. I don't know what's up with this questionable. Let's take a peek at this. Assuming Stevenson's good to go, I like Bill's receivers flex good bit better. Remains questionable with an illness. Nah, he'll play. He'll play. Tight ends. Both of them, well, I mean, Bill obviously has Kelsey out on IR. Parker did not realize the only tight end is Isaiah Likely. Not that Likely's a bad tight end, but with all those picks, would have expected Pa to go a little higher on a tight end. Here, let's see what Fantasy Pros is saying here. They have Bill at a 96 for the week and Parker down at a 94, and I kind of agree with them. Even with Kelsey out, I still like Bill a bit here. Looks like ESPN has Parker winning in the projections, but I'm going to take Bill. So I got Max and Bill so far. What's our last Fantasy Heart and Soul game will be Grant and the K-Pop Kings versus West Day's Psy Ducks. I like that. Yeah, Parker was having. We were all feeling good. I think that the remote draft, everybody being in person, adds a lot of character to what actually happens. So let's see what we got from Thursday. Wes, 22.54 points from Patrick Mahomes, despite the fact that Toney took one right in his hands and just kind of gave it the defense as a pick. Mahomes still had a very good game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, though, also very nice. 6 for 71 and a touchdown. So probably call that a win for Grant if his receivers match in Wes's quarterback. Still has Hurts to go. Alexander Madison. We're going to see. We're going to see. And then talked about this in my keeper value movement video that Madison's very polarizing this year. So we're going to see if he's going to be just the lead back, a bell cow. I don't know what the alternative is. I guess they have a lot of passing options. Maybe they just throw it more this year out in Minnesota. Etienne, Marquise Brown, Van Jefferson a little weak. I mean, we're looking here, Wes and Grant. We knew that both of them, like my team, were going to be a little more shallow. Wes with Breece Hall coming off the injury. I don't expect a ton from him today. I expect this is why they brought in Cook for the early part of the season, is my guess, to kind of carry more while Breece gets worked back into it. Then Rashad White, I still think Sean Tucker is going to eat into White's workload a lot more than it may seem based on pre-draft rankings. See, Devontae Adams is a big star for Wes, and I mean that's kind of what I'm looking at here. For Grant, he's still got Hurts to go. For Wes, Adams is your big star. I mean, Hope Pickens Higgins has all the upside in the world. We'll see how much he gets fed. AJ Brown too. I didn't realize that West was able to get Adams and Brown. I guess those were his first two. That's a nice little combination. And Brees is not bad as one RB1 when you have those wide receivers. Well, it's a tough call. This could be a really close game. ESPN likes Grant significantly. I'm missing something. Not sure. I'll see what Fantasy Pro says because I don't think this is that big of a difference. They have Grant at a 94 and West down at a 91. I think that's a little closer. I think that this is a lot closer than a 13-point game. Just to be contrarian, I'll take West here. I think that Adams and Brown are just going to get a bunch of PPR work. Now, over to our Attitude Era Conference. Let's see if we had any. Parker, I was going to see if we had any chats. Parker says he's streaming tight ends this year. And, if you don't have Kelsey or Andrews, that's been the way to go recently. I like a lot of these rookie tight ends this year. I'm very happy to see Laporte had a good first game. And then Kelsey and Andrews both missed week 1. So nobody has any good tight ends. Let's go to the Attitude Era Conference with D-Generation Eckler, Vanis, and Jason against Marty's New Age Outlaws. And I don't understand any of these references or anything about professional wrestling. I do think it's a cool conference theme. It's just not something that I have any insight into. Only Thursday player here was Marty with Gibbs. 8 points. Potentially missed a touchdown. I saw people say that he was going to have a touchdown, but he tripped. And then I saw the replay, and then it's like he still had to get the corner and go like 15 yards. But he could have bounced it out and gotten it if he didn't trip. But Gibbs is going to be good as the season goes. Marty obviously coming in with all that draft capital this year. Take a look at what his team looks like. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is in your tier 2. I think at the back of that tier 2 of quarterbacks, but solid. McCaffrey, obviously, the man to have at any flex spot, certainly running back. Cooper, Pitts, DJ Moore. It doesn't jump out to me as the super team that maybe thought it would be, but certainly very strong. Over on the other side, Brad and Jason, who always manage to draft well. I feel like Jason is just over there. He's kind of the genius behind the clipboard. No offense to Banis, but it's just since he's been added as a co-owner, I just noticed lots and lots of good moves there. Deshaun Watson, hoping he's really bad quarterback play, but gotta love Eckler. McCaffrey's close enough to a wash. Dameon Pierce could be really underrated in terms of, he's a bell cow. Flips down a little bit in drafts, probably more than he should. And we'll see. Calvin Ridley's probably the most interesting watch for me, is to see how back he is to what we saw before suspension, injury, yada, yada, yada. We'll see what Atlanta's going to do with Pitts this year. It just makes me feel uneasy, the idea of starting him. Fantasy Pros has Marty at a 95 and Vanis down at a 92. Since I said ESPN after Gibbs' performance likes Vanis to win, but since I've declared this the year of Marty, I'm going to roll with Marty for at least the first few weeks against anybody. Want to meme the year of Marty into being a thing. All right, next. Doesn't matter what my name is. Stan versus 2 sacks in a Ric Flair. Woo! But Mini. All right. Is that right? I go woo? I think that's correct. See, over on Stan's team. So this is that interesting part, if you remember from the outlooks. Vanis, and then Stan, Mini. There's one more over in the Attitude Era Conference, Swan. They're all just good teams, and I don't think from the draft that we missed anything. Oh, can can you let them in? I'm live. Complicated business. I guess they're finally here to do what they were supposed to be here in the morning. Sorry about that. Where were we? Swift, Williams. We got Williams. We got Jamal Williams in there starting. Um, Swift is that's the interesting thing in this game for me is what's Philadelphia's running back usage going to look like? How much is Swift going to be in the passing game? I mean, it is every preseason that you get 100 stories about, oh, this team is using this running back. He's in the slot. He's out wide. He's doing all these different, and I feel like it never really translates. You don't really watch games and see running backs lining up at wide receiver like 30% of the time. Um, but Swift can do it. Swift lined up at receiver a lot for the Dogs. And that's going to be how he's going to have to be involved if he wants to go back to being a fantasy. He has the potential to be a stud. I mean, in terms of ability to make things happen per touch, he's one of the best in the league. Anyway, over on Stan, the stud is Tyreek Hill matching up with Minis. Who did Mini take early? Who's Mini's stud? Oh, Cooper Kupp. Yeah, that hurts a lot. I kept forgetting who had Cooper Kupp. I think Kupp's going to be out. I mean, they put him on they put him on IR, so there's 4 weeks. They're going to take it nice and easy with him. And that just stinks. And there wasn't much indication of any issue when we drafted. So that's really rough for Mini. He actually, to keep this projection at 122 to 124, despite that, it's pretty nice. I mean, he's got maybe Rashee Rice is gonna have a fantastic rookie season after a nice strong showing Thursday. He was really the only Chiefs receiver worth a darn. Yeah, without Kupp, I can't even think about taking Mini. Stan has, in my mind, with Pollard and Hill, the studs here. So I'm gonna take Stan there. And now, game of the week. Game of the week has to be Mark. Can you digs it, sucka versus Swan, Death Valley Undertakers. In my opinion, 2 guys who left the draft stronger than their preview probably showed them coming into it. Got great quarterback matchup and Jackson versus Burrow. Burrow's apparently completely healthy, which I'm very happy for. In the Dynasty League, Cook versus Henry. I mean, I think Cook in this early part of the season at least is at least a high-end RB2. I'm not sure how much he'll get phased out as the season goes on. Big advantage for Swan you have to figure with Kenneth Walker over P. Ryan. Chase versus Lamb. I mean, advantage Mark, but just by a little bit, and then we're gonna say the opposite. Jefferson versus Smith. Those are 2 really nice wide receiver rooms. You got Lamb and Jefferson, and then Chase and Devonta Smith. Gotta love that. Mark also adding Diggs. That is a ridiculous wide receiver room all around. Hawk versus Kittle. Gotta be a wash for me. Oh my goodness, I can't look at Chase, Devonta Smith, Diggs, and think I don't even care that Samaje Perine is in the lineup there. ESPN likes Swan by 10 points. Fantasy Pros likes him by 3. He has 100. Mark has a 97, but boy, I'm taking a lot of potential upsets this week. Week 1, we have no information. I like Mark. I'm taking Mark just because, boy, I did not realize that. I mean, I guess I knew he had Chase going and Smith as keepers. It's just the upside there. The upside's too high. That's Great job drafting and setting up the team, Mark. And that's going to do it for us this week. I apologize for the interruptions and the restarting, and everything will be back to normal for week 2. I just couldn't possibly skip a week on you guys. Uh, we'll see you next time. Something clever and no Thursday players in the flex.